Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome along to the August edition of DBA Fundamentals Down Under. Once again, I'm your host, Warwick Rudd. Before I hand over to Damian Widera talking to us about SQL Server 2017 and what's new, I do have some housekeeping that we will run through. So the first thing that hopefully everybody is aware of is that we need to just make a big call out to our sponsors, SentryOne. Without SentryOne, we wouldn't be able to be putting on these sessions for you. So if you haven't already gone along to the SentryOne website, make sure you visit them, have a look at the articles, videos, ebooks, and downloads that are available to assist you with your SQL Server environments. Now, hopefully most of you are aware that Past Summit is quickly approaching us. Now it is on from October 31 through to November 3 in Seattle. So make sure that you register, come along. Hopefully you might see me there. And if you take advantage of, that one's passed. The dates, I believe that there's a different discount code at the moment, but for the next month, we'll get that new code out there so that you can get a saving if you haven't already registered and booked your ticket. For those of you who are in the San Diego area, feel free on October 3 to register for the Business Analytics Day. And if you register at passvaday.com, then you can get a 20% discount off your ticket. Just a reminder that this session is being recorded and will be available on the DBA Fundamentals website. That will probably take a couple of days after today's session to be placed up there, and you can come back and revisit not just this session, but all of the previous sessions that we have done for DBA Fundamentals. Now, before I hand over to Damian, just want to remind everybody that feel free to ask questions. I will be monitoring those, and Damian will answer those at the end of this session. So with that, let's go for Damian to talk to us about 2017.
Okay, thank you very much. First, when I start with sharing my screen. I hope you will be able to see it.
Yes.
Yes, and I hope you can see the website, and right now you can see the presentation. So yes. What I would like to talk to you today is about SQL Server 2017. What's new? We all know what's new, at least we are aware about one new big feature, but this is what I don't want to talk, because in 2 weeks, I bet, you will have a session about SQL Server on Linux. However, I will run all my demos today on SQL Server that is hosted on Linux, so you will be able to see that it actually works. Just a few words about me. I come from Poland, and I've been Microsoft MVP since 2009, and for over 12 years I am still Microsoft certified trainer, and I am also one of the people who is very engaged in Polish SQL Server user group. We have recently changed our organization name to datacommunity.pl, and what we do is that every year we organize a community event which is named SQL Day. And this is a community for like 800 people. And this year, for example, we hosted Greg Lowe from Australia. I bet you know who Greg Lowe is. And also Brent Ozar was one of our main guests. Those are guys who love database engine. And of course, we had Chris Webb, who is one of the best speakers in terms of business intelligence and analysis services. And we also have plans for next year, so if you would like to meet Icik Ben-Gan in person, so you are warmly welcome to visit Poland, to visit Wrocław. It will be in the middle of May next year. So having said that, we can go to actually to the topic that is scheduled for today. If you would like to have some news about SQL Server, then you can visit my blog. You can see the address on the screen. It's sqlplayer.net. In this blog, me and my friend Kamil, what we have prepared, we prepared we prepared an audition with Brent Ozar, so you can actually hear what Brent says, what Brent was saying about SQL Server and the conference. Next interview is with Greg Lowe and will be posted probably at the end of this week, maybe beginning of the next week. So right now let's start with what's new in SQL Server 2017. So of course we know that there must be a lot of features, and the most important one, the entire world is waiting and is talking about, is how SQL Server works on Linux. So we know that it actually works. And then there are a lot of, I would say, smaller features, smaller in comparison to SQL Server is working on Linux, of course, but there are still very big improvements, and I would like to concentrate today on those improvements. And I found 4, in my opinion, very interesting areas where you can find interesting features. For example, Resumable online index rebuild is very important, automatic query tuning, some new DMVs, and Transact SQL enhancements. I hope you love them. So let's start with just a few words about SQL Server on Linux. It just works. I have some time to test it, and I cannot see any difference when working on Linux than with working on Windows. So in terms of SQL Server and how I interact with it using SQL Server Management Studio, there is no difference. There is, of course, difference because Linux has different file system, but from our perspective, at first glance, there are no difference. So far, I know that one feature is not working. File stream is still not working on Linux. There might be some other different things that are still under construction, but I think in short time we will be able to see them also available on that operating system. Installation and upgrade is pretty straightforward. It's way more easier than using Windows installer. So installing SQL Server on Linux, it's just 3 or 4 commands and the installation is done, and the upgrade is also very easy. But that's enough about SQL Server on Linux. As I said, I'm going to run all demos on the current version of SQL Server. I have just upgraded this version today, so it's the newest installation. It's the release candidate version 2 that was released last week. So what has changed? What's new? Let's start with something that is very important. It's not been in the agenda I have shown you, but it's from my perspective it's important because it's something that is breaking change. I don't know if you use SQL CLR a lot. I do. So every information about if there is any change to SQL CLR, it's very, very important from my point of view. I have a lot of systems where my library are installed. So at least when the system is, the server is going to be upgraded to version 2017, I would have to be very careful with that, because when you are going to upgrade to SQL Server 2017, bear in mind that even a CLR assembly that has been created with permission set safe, it will be able to access external system resources, call unmanaged code, and also run the code as sysadmin with sysadmin privileges. This is because beginning with SQL Server 2017, there will be a new option. It will be a server option, which is called strict security, CLR strict security. And with this option, every assembly is going to be treated as unsafe. So it doesn't matter if your assembly is already safe or has the permission set as external access, it will be treated as unsafe. So from that point of view, you know that you have to change the approach how the assembly is going to be installed. Of course, there is a way you can make your database trustworthy, which is wrong idea, to make the assembly work as unsafe. The other way is just to sign the assembly with certificate or asymmetric key, create a login from this asymmetric key or certificate, and in that case your assembly will be, you will be able to install the assembly in the server. Of course, this is what I have already told you, that you will be able, you have to do one of those three things with even with your existing assembly. Of course, it's possible to turn off this CLR strict security, but you should not do this. And what's important, this option is enabled by default. So whatever you have installed, in that case, will be treated as unsafe from that point of view. So there is a way how to, I don't want to say it's a workaround, but it's something you can work with your assemblies and put them on so-called waitlist. This waitlist, it will be, I should say, whitelist. This whitelist will be, it's a place where you can add trusted assemblies. So if you have safe assembly and you don't want to sign it, you don't want to create login or create certificate, then just by creating, using the store procedure sp add trusted assembly, you can add this assembly to whitelist and it will be treated as known assembly. And in that case, you don't have to change the property of the database to trustworthy. It works very similar to the trustworthy model, but it's not on the database level, it's rather on the assembly level. So you can use store procedure to add the assembly to the trusted assembly list. You can use sp drop trusted assembly to remove this assembly from this list. And if you would like to see what's already on the list, then you can query the sys.trustedassemblies DMV. So this is something that is going to change. And it's breaking, Microsoft says it's breaking change. So you have to be, we all have to be very careful with that if we don't want to break some functionality in our system. But let's now talk about something which is new. This feature is named Resumable Online Index Rebuild. And as you know, when you rebuild an index, then this operation is transactional. It must be started and it must be ended. If you break it, if you stop it, then you have to roll back the entire operation. So it's better not to stop this. And depending how big is your index, this operation can take a while, could be even several hours depending on its size. and some other factors. So it was a problem to, sometimes it's a problem if you have busy system, and database systems are mostly busy right now. So most of the time it could be a problem to finish the index maintenance operation during the maintenance period. For example, I have a data warehouse which is right now like 27 terabytes in size, and there is one big table, the biggest, and it's not possible to rebuild the index or to perform regular maintenance operation, because the maintenance window is only 1 day every 2 weeks. And this is the moment when administrators can run every maintenance procedure they want, because the users are not permitted to use the system, but it's only 1 day per 2 weeks. So there is a way, or there will be a way, how to run a new feature which is called Resumable Online Index Rebuild. And in that case, you will be able to stop the operation in any moment you want and to resume it later, just to finish the maintenance operation within the specified maintenance window. Let me show you how this could work. So I am connected right now to the Linux environment. This is Ubuntu 16.04 and the latest SQL Server build 14.0.900.75. And I have two databases there, AdventureWorks 2014 and AdventureWorks 2016. That's the latest version I could have from the internet. And I would like to show you how the Resumable Index Rebuild works. First of all, there is already a possibility to rebuild the index, any index you want, within online mode. And please bear in mind that this option will only work if online is specified to on. So it's not possible to run it on every SQL Server version, at least what I know. So you will be able to do this only on Enterprise Edition, probably not on Standard, but it could be changed in the future. So if you would like to do this, first of all, in my database there is a kind of big table. It has only 200,000 rows, but it's enough for our demo. This table is sales order detail table in sales schema. And as you can see, oh, it's even smaller. It has 121,000 rows. And I'm going to rebuild the clustered index. So that will be my goal. I would like to check how many log space is used in this database. So you see that right now there is less than 1% of log used. So first, let's try to run the Resumable Index Rebuild. As you see, I'm going to use alter index command, rebuild with Resumable on. And this first approach is not going to work well, because as I said, you have to specify that online is also set to on. So it's not possible to run Resumable Index Rebuild without specifying that the operation is online. So right now I'm going to do it properly. So alter index rebuild with online on and Resumable on. And right now this operation is in progress. So it will take some time to complete. And we can wait and wait and wait. And as you see, it took around 9 seconds to complete. And what I would like to check is how big is the log space used right now. And as you can see, this operation took around 5% of my log right now because the log is prepared. So and it has some size. So right now it takes around 5.6% of this log. But I told you that you can stop the operation anytime it's needed. So I'm going to start it one more time. And in the second window, I'm going to pause the operation. So I'm going to stop it for a while. So let me open another window. This is the command. So it's alter index and with pause phrase. So I'm going to start the index rebuild one more time. In the second window, I'm running the pause operation one more time. And you see I have stopped the query, because if I switch to the previous window, you see that your session has been disconnected because of high priority DDL operation. So stopping the index has higher priority than rebuilding it. And there is a new management view which is called index resumable operations. And right now, as you can take a look, we can run this query, and you see that this operation was in progress, and it was around 64% done. So you know that there will be around 36% to run one more time. If I resume it one more time, I need 36% to complete. And you see how many pages has already been rebuilt. This index has around 1,500 pages. So 65% of them almost are done right now. So what can I do then? I can try to resume the index, but first of all, let's check if the log has been used even more. And you see that at this moment the log space is used only in 4%. So probably the previous operation was removed from the log, could be. But what is important, when you started the operation on index, the resumable operation on index, you cannot drop the index until the operation is not completed or removed. So removed, I mean aborted. So let's try to drop the index, and we should see that this operation is not possible. So remember about this. And what can I do? I can resume the index, and I can do it in two ways. I can issue the command one more time. So it's alter index rebuild with online and resumable set to on. And then SQL Server is going to decide whether it should start from beginning or whether it should continue the operation. I bet it is going to choose to continue the operation. Or you can just use the alter index resume command to finish the operation. Whatever you choose is okay. So as you see, the operation is now in progress. It was in progress. So as you see, the first command it was started from the point I have stopped a moment ago, as you see on the screen. So that was the comment when we were able to resume. And now let's try to rebuild the index one more time, but this time I'm going to stop the operation with abort option. Abort option means that I'm not going to resume it one more time. What I have to do after abort is I have to start the operation once again from the beginning. So as you see, the resume operation, the rebuild operation has been stopped by the abort operation, but in that case, if I check the status of the operation, you see that there is nothing, because the operation was, it's like a kill operation. Whatever was started, it was a rollback also issued on that comment. So what you have to do, you have to start it from the beginning. So there is also, and I haven't mentioned it yet, that there is also a time switch. So you can start this operation, this online operation, Resumable on, and it's possible to set some limits how long this operation can take. Imagine that you have maintenance window like 1 hour, and you don't want to do anything which is beyond this 1 hour maintenance window. So you can specify that this operation can take at maximum 1 hour. So you can specify 60 minutes in max duration option. The longest operation can be 1 week, and the shortest operation can be 1 minute. Of course, it's possible to finish earlier, but as you have seen, we were done in 9 seconds. But the smallest time you can schedule is 1 minute. So of course, if you schedule 1 minute and the operation is faster, it will be, of course, it will be stopped faster. But right now, I'm sure that this operation is not going to take more than 1 minute. It will be paused after 1 minute, so you can resume it later. Of course, in my case, it was only 9 seconds. There is also a change in view, which is called DM exec request. There is a new column which is called is resumable. So just by examining this view, you can check whether which session, which request, which session has this is resumable flag set to 1, means that this is exactly maintenance operation which rebuilds index with resumable option set to on. So having this in mind, you can build very robust maintenance solutions for your database, and I hope you will be able to do this. So that's enough if you are thinking about resumable index rebuild. And next thing I would like to tell you is automatic query tuning. And this is something which is connected, a feature that is connected to Query Store. I bet you have heard about Query Store. It was a big rumor in SQL Server 2016 about this. Query Store is a great feature because it's available in every version, even in SQL Server Express. And having Query Store, you can manually check, at least manually you can check how your query behaves in terms of plan, if you can see some plan degradation, so if the query is actually slower. So you can very easily, of course, just by examining reports that are available in Query Store, or you can write your own reports, you can detect performance problems with your query. You can quite easily navigate to a particular query, and you see how many plans the query have, and then you can choose the best one. But you have to do this manually. Of course, you can try to build some kind of semi-automatic solution that is going to apply a good plan, the best plan for the query, and you can analyze some metrics when the query has degraded, for example, is slower 2 times than yesterday, so the degradation within 24 hours is like the query is slower 2 times, something like this. You can build a solution on your own. But in SQL Server 2017, it's possible to do this in automatic fashion. So you can let SQL Server decide and tell to SQL Server that, hey, if my query is slow enough, then try to fix it. Try to apply the best plan you can, the best plan you have. And I'm going right now to show you how it works. So where is my automatic query tuning? Right now I'm going to use the other database, but it doesn't matter. First of all, what you have to do is you have to enable the query store. I'm using right now the default options, you can say. So the size of the query store will be 250 megs. It will be automatically clean up if needed. And data will be stored for around 30 days. So the query store is configured, and right now I can turn it on. And there are some options to clean it manually and to turn it off. And remember that anytime you do a backup of your database, the query store is also in this backup. So you can move your database to another server, and you still have the history of how your query behaved. What I try to do is I try to prepare a store procedure. It's like a normal store procedure. It's going to query 2 tables. So the tables are quite big, like 100,000 of rows. But what is interesting is how the query is going to return results, because what I'm going to pass a parameter, and this parameter can be a single character or can be a set of characters, and depending of what is this, how the param is constructed, I could have many results, I could have only 1 row. So this store procedure is prepared. I try to do it, create or alter. I hope it works. The store procedure, okay. So the store procedure is in this database right now. So I'm going to clean the query store. I'm going to empty a procedure cache, and right now what I'm going to do, I'm going to run my store procedure for different sets of parameters. One time it will be like only the M character. Sometimes it will be a letter from B to H, and sometimes it will be from A to Z. So you see that there will be many plans created by this store procedure, but sometimes not good plan is going to be used. Right now this query store is working, and but I have not configured the feature of which is already available in SQL Server 2017. I'm talking about automatic query tuning. Right now I have started query store, and if you take a look there to this query store, I hope it will be where it is. Oh, maybe my SQL Server Management Studio is not going to display it. That's not good, because it should be there. It should be there. I'm trying to check the properties of the database, where it is. I have old Management Studio, so probably I'm not able to see the query store. So I'm not able right now to see how many plans are in the database, how many plans have been created. I'm not able to see it very easy, because my Management Studio is kind of old. But what can I do? If I would like to, let me stop the execution. I'm trying to stop this query number 55. So let me do like kill 55. So let me stop the session, and I'm going to show you how to prepare to the automatic query tuning. First of all, what you have to do, you have to change your database. You have to change your database. You have to alter your database and set its option. So automatic tuning should be turned on, and the flag is force last good plan. So let me do this. But to make sure that I am in a good database, let me change this one more time. Use AdventureWorks. Okay. So right now, let me change its option to automatic tuning. So right now, if I run this store procedure one more time. So let me do this. Okay. So the store procedure is executed one more time, and I'm going to go to another window, and I'm going to examine a view which is called DMDB tuning recommendations, and I'm going to check if there is already some recommendation for me. And after some time, let's say after a few seconds, I should be able to see some recommendations, and SQL Server is going to apply the recommendations automatically if it sees that there is a need to do so. So there is important information that those recommendations will be automatically forced if the gain. So what you can gain is that recommendation is going to speed up your query for more than 10 seconds. So if there is a chance to speed up, your query for more than 10 seconds, then the best plan is going to be applied, is going to be forced, and in that case, you don't have to do anything, because the best plan is going to be forced on your query. The query is still monitored by query store. So in any case a new degradation is detected, then again SQL Server is going to apply a good plan. I'm going to check it. I'm going to check because I'm not sure where I have if I turn on the query store on the proper database. So let me kill this one more time. So 55, okay, and right now I'm going to check. Okay, I'm slow again. I hope this query will be stopped in a moment. And we will be able to navigate, because I'm not sure in which database right now I have turned on the query store. Okay, it's not there. So if everything is fine, you should be able to see some recommendations. They are not there right now, but the recommendation there is a recommendation you can apply it manually if you wish, or SQL Server is going to apply it automatically. There will be a column which is called script, and in the script column you will be able to see script like force plan with query number and plan number that should be forced to this query. So you can just take the script and run it manually if you wish, or you can leave it to SQL Server, and SQL Server is going to do it for you. So that's how it works. And well, that's also a great thing from administrative point of view, because then you can have your queries that are problematic from performance point of view. You can have some better performance on them. I have two more things in this. In our session. First thing is about new DMVs, because there are some new DMVs in SQL Server 2017. There are words of no, so I'm going to explain them for you. Two of them are related to transaction log. And first transaction log is first DMV is this is actually a function. It is called DMDB log stats, and this function displays information about current database, as you see. So everything related to the log statistically. So you see that my database AdventureWorks 2014, it's right now in simple recovery model, and not as I'm in simple recovery model, so the log can be truncated. Nothing at this moment can so I can truncate it. And okay, of course I can change this approach. I can set my recovery model to full, but if I do it, of course, nothing is going to change on the log side, so I can still truncate it. Of course, it will be, if I do a database backup, and then if I do some change, for example, what I can do some kind of mass update. So in that case, after I did a full backup, and then I would change my table data, then the log is going to be growing. It cannot be truncated until you do a backup log. So we will be able to see this. And by the way, right now I'm doing a backup on the Linux side. So you see it's quite the same. So I run a backup database statement. I do backup to disk, and this is the only change you see. And this is not like Windows storage. This is how you do this on Linux. So you see right now my database has been backed up. I'm performing a change. So I'm updating 10,000 rows in my table. So let's take a look on the log, and you see right now I have information that my log has to be backed up because this is that's what protecting me from truncating it. Of course, we can discuss if log truncation is good operation. Sometimes yes, sometimes it's not. But as I did log backup right now, just by querying this DMDB log stats function, I see what is the state of the log. But this is using this function, you can see only information. It's one entry per database, but it's very useful. You can cross-apply this function with sys databases view, and for example, you can display every database that have VLF, so these virtual log files, and this virtual log files count is greater than 50. So it could be some indication that maybe a log is too fragmented. Of course, 50 fragments, it's not bad. But for example, you can have also information just by querying the same view about when was the last log backup operation. So you see, that AdventureWorks 2014 was backed up a few minutes ago. It's actually a 5:15 a.m. right now in Poland here. This is UTC time, so it's pretty early morning right now. But there is a better view, or better function, we should say, which is called DMDB log info. And this function gives you information about details of log file of your particular database. So, as you know, log file contains or is built from virtual log files. So transaction log can have more than one virtual log files. Typically, it has at least 4. In our case, it's 122 virtual log files, and some of them are, at least one of them must be active. And you see the log file number 194 is active. This virtual log file has 16 megabytes. So what I can do some update of my table, and I can see what happened to my log file. It can be, oh, nothing has changed. So I'm still active only in this one virtual log file. But if I run this command maybe 2 or 3 times more, I'm still generating new logs. So at this moment, I am able to, probably I will be able to see that something has changed in my log. And you see not only virtual log file number 194, but new one has been created, 195. So at least those two virtual log files cannot be truncated, cannot be removed from the database until you do log backup of this database. So that's great. That's great also a function because you can have information about, very detailed information about your log. So, for example, you can have information about the very last active transaction, very last active virtual log file in your transaction log. And you see this is number 195, as I specified previously. So let's move to the next view. This is information about histogram. So there is a function which is called DMDB stats histogram. So if you are familiar with DBCC show statistics, then you know that this command returns 3 data sets, and one of these data sets is a histogram. And right now you can see also this histogram just by running a transact SQL statement. So just by using sysstats view and cross-apply it to this new function DMDB stats histogram, and you will be able to see the histogram, so the data distribution of your table. So that's great. That's great information about all statistics on the table, because right now what you see it's statistic which is related to primary key and clustered index, but in a moment you see that there is another index with another statistic, and then you can see data distribution with this index is also described. So it could be very useful when you would like to very easily query data about statistics and to have some information about whether you should do something with these statistics or not. One of the view I like very much is a new one, which is related to version store. And there is one view, DM-tran version store, which already is there, which already exists. So I can query the view and have information that nothing is right now using the version store. So let me try to show you how this should work. Right now I'm creating a new database, version store test. And version store is going to be used when you turn read committed snapshot or allow snapshot isolation. So those two things I'm going to run. And right now you can see that those options has been set. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my new database. I'm creating a very simple table. As you see, the table is going to have 2 columns. 1 row will be always stored on 1 page. I like a table like this because analyzing of what's going on is very easy. So I'm creating a table, and right now I'm going to open a transaction, put some rows there, like 50 rows, and I'm going to check if there is anything in the version store. Version store is just we can call it a place or buffer in TempDB. So if you create a new version of data, then the previous version will be stored for some time. How long? Depending if someone is going to use the version or if someone uses the old version. If the table is empty and I insert the data, there is no way that something is going to be in the version store. Even if I commit, the version store must be empty. It will not be empty. It will not be empty when I'm going to update a table. So I'm going to change data in the table. So you see right now that there will be, I have changed all rows. There were 50 rows. So you can see that there are 50 rows in the version store, and we can see the rows. But if we wait for a while, like 1 minute or so, as I'm not using these rows, so the version store is going to be cleaned up by the garbage collector. But right now, what I can see is I can use a new version store view, which is named DM-tran version store space usage, and per every database I can have information how many pages is stored in the version store per every database. So it's very quickly diagnostic information, because if your version store is too big, then you can have a problem with TempDB. So let's check, because maybe the transaction, the version store is going to be cleaned up in a moment. If I waited for a while, it would be, for sure, it would be empty. There are still 50 rows. Okay, so there are two more or three more views that are important, and I would like to concentrate only on one because I have some Transact SQL enhancements for you also. So I skip DMOS info and DMDB file space usage. That one is kind of important, so take a look and check the documentation. But what I'd like to show you is I'd like to show you a view which is called DM exec query statistics XML, and this view, this function has information about, for example, a query plan for a particular session. So imagine you have DM exec request view and you cross-apply to this new function and just pass a session ID there, and you can have information about what plan is used by a query or queries within this session ID. So if I, for example, if I run a query, that's the session 56. So if I run a query like sales, do I have something in sales? So let me take something from the table. So it should be sales order detail like this. So if I run a query, if I try to run this query to obtain information about query plan, you have to remember that as of now you have to first enable trace flag 7412. That's the global flag, and then you are able to see what happened with this query. And somewhere there it should be a query plan, and you have information about how the query was executed, what was the query plan that was stored with this particular session ID. This is sometimes it's called like you have in-flight requests. You would like to very quickly examine what's going on. Very useful information are produced by this function. And the last thing I would like to show you today is some Transact SQL enhancements. Those are important because we've really been waiting for them for a very long time. So let me start just by something which is very easy and seems to be obvious that we should have used it for a long time, but it was not possible. Imagine that you would like to do a select into operation, and you would like to do the select into to a different file group than the default one. It's not possible up to SQL Server 2017, I think. So to prove you that now it's possible, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a new file group to my database. I'm going to add new file to this file group. Incorrect, of course, I have forgotten to select this part. And what I'm going to do right now, take a look here. I'm going to do a select into operation. So I'm going to create a new table on the fly, and I'm going to put this table on a new file group. That was not possible right now. And as of SQL Server 2017, it will be possible. Of course, I should select a proper version of the, I should change the context to proper database. So you see right now my tables, sales order detail 10,000, this table has been created in the new file group 2. Great enhancements, something which is pretty simple for us. I bet it was not so simple to implement. And now some Transact SQL functions, and the first function is called concat ws. So we are going to concatenate some information, and this is a delimiter that will be used to delimit the column that are specified in this concat ws function. So let me take a look how it works. So you see, I'm going to take information from sys databases, and I have database ID, recovery model desk, and containment desk. And this information, every column is separated by this delimiter. So when you, very easy, yes, that's what we sometimes need to have. Now the function is ready. The function, of course, behaves properly if it finds null, so it just skips null. So you see how it right now how it looks like. So the nulls are just skipped, and you can use them as as they were not present there in this function. A function which is called translate, which is at some moment it could be a great replacement of the replace function. So just take a look here. We have a string which looks like this, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to replace this kind of bracket. This square bracket will be replaced by that bracket, and this square bracket is going to be replaced as that kind of bracket, and we have also curly brackets to be replaced. So I have 4 things to be replaced in this string. So if I would like to use a replace function, I would have to use it 4 times on the string, but you see, using translate function gives me the proper result. Both are equivalent, but I wouldn't have to write too much code, and I think it's also more readable. The replace function is more readable. There are 2 more functions I'd like to show you. The trim function. We have ltrim and rtrim functions so far in SQL Server, but trim function was not available. So it trims from left and right. So if we use the function like this, so select trim test, and I have some spaces in the front and spaces like trailing spaces. So you see that those spaces has been removed. But what happens if I have something like this, that I have spaces and then there is a character like exclamation mark or something else? What is going to happen with spaces in between here? Is the function going to clean them or remove them? No. The spaces are going to be removed, so only spaces in the left or in the right up to the first character is going to be removed. That was the very basic of the function, usage of the function, but of course it can be a little bit more complicated, and this little bit more complicated means that you can specify the characters that are going to be removed. So in our case, take a look here. What I have is that I have to remove a space because it's there. I can remove exclamation mark, I can remove comma and dot. And those characters will be removed. So guess what is going to happen right now and what is going to be returned by applying the trim function. And yes, only the test information, because the exclamation mark is on the list of characters that should be removed, and also a space can be removed, so it can be removed from this. But take a look on this example. We have a $sign here, a dollar character here. So what can be removed? Can be removed everything from the left up to the first sign that is not on this list. So the $sign is there. So this exclamation mark has to stay, and it will be present after I run the function. That's because how the function works. It found $sign not on the list, so everything must stay. And one more function which is called string aggregate. So I promise that's all I have for today. So the string aggregation function allows you to concatenate some information and put them. So it's like a grouping information. So you can put them in one line. So in that case, what I'm going to do, I'm going to query human resources employee, and you see what I have done. I have taken business entity ID, and this character 13 means it's new line. However, grid cannot display a new line, so I have to run it with result to text, and you see right now it works like this. But I can use different separator, like, for example, comma, and take a look what is going to happen right now. And you see we have one line information separated by comma, so you can, instead of creating this information with staff function or XML, some XML transformation for XML path, I bet that was the statement. Right now you can do the same with string aggregate, but it's not enough. You can have even more, because you can use string aggregate with other transact SQL function or string function in transact SQL like concat, and you can create even more complicated examples. So you see right now I'm concatenating business entity ID with modified date, and this is treated as one entity, and those entities will be separated by comma. So let's take a look here and take a look. I have business entity ID plus the modified date information, and then there is a comma and to another entity and another entity, and so on and so on. So pretty easy and pretty impressive how it works, but it's still not enough. We can do even more. What I have here today is, take a look. I have business entity ID, and I'm going to group by business entity ID, and for every business entity ID, I'm going to aggregate strings. I'm going to aggregate rates. So it's another column. It's a column which is called rate. So for every business entity ID, I'm going to group all rates and separate them by comma. Take a look here. So, you see that there are some business entity IDs. For example, person number 4 has got different rises or different wages 3 times. So first the person started from $8, then it was 33.72, and now the person earns $29 probably per hour. And you can do even more, because you can sort the output. So this also, every group can be sorted. And take a look here. I have exactly the same query, but I can also specify within group statement, and I can specify how this group can be sorted. And in that case, I'm just would like to sort it by modified date. So, and descending. So probably you will see that data is going to be stored in different order, and that's fine, because what I suppose is that person number 4 started from some very low wage, and then it earned a little bit more, and now the person earns more money. So that's how the function works. And of course you can combine string aggregate and concat WS function and any other functions as I have shown you previously. So whatever you would like to do with those functions, you can. And this is what we have from my point of view. Those are the interesting, but this is only a small subset of functionalities and features that are new. And I haven't even mentioned about a lot of performance improvement that Microsoft has done with SQL Server. And because we don't have much time today, I hope next time when you will have some Linux administration, SQL Server Linux administration, you will have some more information from that area. And right now, I would like to thank you for attending this this webcast. If there are any questions, I try to answer them. I will also send you the presentation and the code so you can play on your own.
Thank you, Damian. We do have a couple of questions. While we are asking these, if there's anybody else who wants to shoot through a question, feel free to now. So, Damian, the first question. Azure SQL is generally getting new SQL features fairly fast. I'm not seeing the new query store features in any SQL Azure yet. Do you have to turn on the newer features, or are they not available yet?
Well, that's a great question. I think that the query store, if it's not there yet, it will be available in Azure SQL DB. But I think it's already there. I haven't checked the Azure SQL DB for a month or so, but I'm pretty sure that I have heard information that the query store is there, because Microsoft says that the feature must be available in Azure first, and then it will be also available in every other version, like SQL Server on Linux or SQL Server on Windows. So I'm pretty sure that query store, if it's not there yet, it will be available in Azure SQL DB very soon.
Okay. And our last question is, does SQL Server 2017 support cascade deletes in system version tables? In 2016, when I try to alter a table to turn on system versioning with cascade deletes, it fails.
Yes. Now it will not fail. So it's possible, yes, the cascade delete is implemented already. That's one of the features I haven't got time to mention, but it's there. So if you have system, I'm pretty sure one of those tables is system, oh, those are system temporal. So the cascade delete will be, is already implemented. So you don't have to turn off the versioning, do it manually, turn it on. So let's forget about this. Right now it's implemented.
Okay. Well, once again, thank you very much, Damian, for coming along and presenting as part of today's session. I'd like to thank everybody for being part of this session. And don't forget to register for next month's session, where we've got Jen McCown coming along and talking to us about T-SQL tips. So I look forward to seeing you all same time in a month's time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great day.